we put out an album called Data. A fan customized this, and so that's a 1 of 1 customized G-Shock to remember the album, the Clover. They say it's 1 in 28. You can get in many Perpetual calendars, but this case, to me, one of my favorite watches of all time. For me, 36, 39 is the right size for any watch. This was actually my first expensive watch. I lost my job the very next month, and I couldn't pay the watch for months, and it ruined my credit.
Welcome back to another episode of Collector Interviews. Today, I'm sitting down with Lex Borrero.
Hey man, thank you for having me. I'm excited to talk watches and hang out with you here in New York City.
I'm super excited for today because I see Lex brought a whole box of different watches. I was just telling him earlier that I was a little nervous to actually do this interview because I saw that he collects some heavy hitter grail watches, which I see on the table here. But then I saw on your channel, you also show things like Seiko and things that are more entry level and approachable, which I really love that duality.
Yeah, I collect by design. Honestly, for me, it's about the craft of the work. To me, it's not about the hype. It's really just about culture and what it means to me personally. So I'm excited to share some of my grill pieces, but also some of the stories behind them, because there's some stories.
Okay, I'm super ready. So for our audience who may not know who you are, how would you describe yourself? What do you do?
I've spent 23 years of my life in the entertainment industry. So everything from being a music producer, TV personality, all the way to, creating massive events. For me, I'd say I'm a creative entrepreneur with a heavy passion for watches and cars. That's what you have here is a mixture of my life experience growing up in the music industry, while at the same time, my rush and feel for cars and chronographs and so on.
Is that where the name 0 to 60 came from?
You know what's crazy? So my content team were like, you should do content around your love for cars and watches. So I called it originally Dialed In, because it makes total sense. It works for both cars and watches. And some guy, he has a podcast and, oh, you stole my name. Like, he went so hard on this idea that I'm like, my guy, calm down. But one night I was at home in my bed and I was like, that's it. I'm going to come up with a new name. And I started thinking, and when I put 0 to 60, I thought there's no possible way that's going to be open.
Right? Like someone must have taken that already.
It was open. Yeah, that's where 0 to 60 comes. My love for watches and cars.
That's awesome. I love the name. It makes so much sense when you think 0 to 60. You're thinking 60 seconds, but you can also think about like 0 to 60 miles per hour, that whole thing. Connection is awesome.
And that's kind of what you want when you brand something, like I love your Minimon. Like, that's sick. I told those guys, I'm like, dude, he nailed it. Like, it couldn't have been nothing better than that.
So before we get into the watches that are in the box here, let's talk about the one you first brought with you on your wrist.
So this is the Louis Vuitton Tambour Convergence. This is something they released this year. And I was lucky enough to have the first delivery in the world.
Oh, wow.
So this is actually delivery number 1. It's a really interesting watch. I call it my make sure I look good watch, because you can just look at yourself. You know what I mean? It's a beautiful watch. I changed the strap. It's a jump hour, so you can't go wrong with that. I normally would not buy watches from a jewelry brand other than maybe Cartier, but honestly, it spoke to me. I liked what they're doing. I like the investment they're making in watches. And honestly, LVMH as a whole, the way they treat you as a client is incredible. So I love that experience.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love how the lugs are like downturned. It almost looks like a scarab. Solid gold. You can feel it, but it's not like too heavy.
Yeah, and it wears really, really well. Other than the fact that it's like impossible to not scratch it. Right? Like, you're gonna scratch it.
Wow, I really can see myself in the reflection of this. Yeah, this is like the final check before you head outside.
That's what I'm saying. It's like you take a look at it, you say, you hit the...
Yeah, this is awesome. I see Louis Vuitton's been really upping their watch like high horology level. So this is such a great example of what they're doing today and what more is coming from the brand as well.
What are you wearing though?
Oh, so I chose this watch. I'm wearing the AP Royal Oak 37 millimeter. It's the modern version, the 15550. I purposely wore this watch for you too, because I was hoping, and I see it here, that you brought the Vacheron 222, because they're both 37 millimeters, and I wanted to like compare them side by side.
This is the perfect size for an AP.
Oh, absolutely. So let's just get right in. Let's talk about that new Vacheron Constantin 222.
I've been collecting watches for a very long time, but I was never part of the community, meaning I wasn't going to watch events. I didn't know the content creators. I actually didn't even know the ADs all the way. I started collecting in a time where you can walk into any AD, get any watch. You didn't even have to have a relationship. It was just like available or not. And as I started to get into the community, I started to build really good relationships. And one of the very first relationships with Vacheron, and it's funny because I walked into the store, Aisha, the salesperson, she happened to know who I was because she does music, and we like, it was just like awesome. You know, one of those like good energies. And then I built a great relationship with Javier and Alexander, the president. But I'm one of those that I don't even put an ask. I'll talk about watches, we'll hang out, and you'll know if I like it or not because I'll talk a lot about it. And so they have sourced a few, and then one day we went to lunch and he's like, hey, you want to come back to the boutique? And I was like, yeah, of course. Like, let's go hang, have a coffee. And he's like, look, I got this watch. I just wanted you to see it. And I put it on and I was super excited. I thought he's just showing it to me. And he's like, you want it? I was like, yes, I do. And I got that one. So I really love it. It's the 222. You can't go wrong with that.
Yeah, this is so awesome. I always go through my head, would I rather have the yellow gold or would I rather have the steel? At first, I was saying the yellow gold because I like that tone-on-tone style, but something about just like steel, blue dial, they never done it in this kind of blue before too. So it's something new, but still honoring the heritage with the 222 and the legendary collection.
I have the gold one as well, and the tone-on-tone to me is what makes me not love it, because it makes it feel like it wears bigger than what it actually is.
I see what you mean, because like the lug to lug and
exactly,
everything.
it doesn't cut through the dial, and I love this one. And honestly, I was wearing it yesterday like crazy. I wear it a lot. It's one of my favorite watches. Let's talk about Jacob, because it's not a watch that people would normally bring to your show, I'm sure. It's not a watch that I wear now. But this particular watch, if you were in hip hop in the late 90s to 2000s, you had a 5 time zone. But growing up, if you looked at hip hop, if you looked at Fabulous, if you looked, I mean, even Justin Timberlake, you wanted to have this watch. Last couple of years, people like A$AP Rocky and people like that have started to really bring them back because they were such an iconic part of growing up. And so for me, this particular watch, I called Jacob and I bought 3. A day that I had an interview, a podcast with my 3 best friends from high school, because we always dreamed of having it. And so I actually bought one for each of them. And it reminds me of my childhood. And I think for us at this point in our lives, you know, we're living for the little one inside of us.
This is the first time that a Jacob & Co has been on my channel, but it's definitely not the last. I did get to see them earlier at Watches and Wonders this year. I've seen so many photos of different like people in hip hop, rappers, all wearing this watch. Like you said, in that time period, this really stamps a moment in time where watches and the culture kind of came together. This has 5 time zones, is that correct? And you can independently set each one. Yeah,
which again, think about that time and like what that meant for you as like an artist that's traveling all over the world. It's a big watch. And then he was like right away creating a strap monster. That watch comes with 5 different straps, and it comes with the little tool, and you would change all the straps, and you have it in red and you have it in blue, and the bezel comes off, and you could either have it with that or something else. So it was like he thought about all the things that would give the watch utility for someone like an artist. I mean, it became an icon. I have to imagine that during that time, Jacob built his wealth to another level in order to develop what he's done now, because he was the guy. If you had a Jacob, you were the man. There's that famous video of Kanye and John Mayer.
This is a platinum IWC Big Pilot. You know how much that thing is? $40,000. How much was that one, Jesus?
15.
And this was 40?
That means he's way more stuntastic.
Oh yeah. Go back and listen to Daughters.
They're talking about the IWC.
Yeah, with the IWC, because Kanye, you know, in the song says, I just got my advance, I went to Jacob, and he got the Jesus piece, and John Mayer was like, hold that, you know? That's 50,000. That's more than your chain.
He's talking about the IWC Big Pilot in platinum. And it's like, it's so funny because the comments on that video are like, for once, John Mayer is like the showy one in the room over Kanye. John Mayer, he even has a watch named after him. He has the Rolex John Mayer that everyone knows of. The new AP that he did, it's like a callback to the Tuscan dial, but then they did a full new version in the new Perpetual calendar.
Which, by the way, Perpetual calendars are my favorite complication.
Oh, awesome.
Even though they're not very useful because you're not setting that every single day, but just the way that the design sits on a dial, I just love it. I feel like it's enough to look at it, but it's well organized.
So is there a Perpetual calendar here that is one of your favorites?
Yes. I love when brands and watchmakers take freedom in design. So when they take freedom in design and you have the clover, they say it's 1 in 28. I'm gonna believe it because I definitely believe the story and the hype. So don't tell me otherwise. If it's not true, please do not break my dreams. You can get in many Perpetual calendars, but this case, to me, one of my favorite watches of all time.
This is so unique. So the nickname, the Clover, you can obviously see without me even explaining why it's called the Clover. When you look at the case, the way the crystal is mounted on there is in the shape of like a 4-leaf clover. So it's in a way like a lucky charm. Do you think you have any stories with this that are lucky?
I don't have any lucky stories other than I will say I was lucky to get it. It was one of those that I was like, how many times do you find these kind of watches? I think there's certain watches that you just can't replace because no matter who the dealer is, they don't come up all the time.
Yeah, this is also my first time seeing this watch,
Yeah.
and a lot of watches you brought here today are first. Like I've either never seen them or they've never been on my channel.
So this
You
is a
see
pioneering episode. I love it.
You see why I said I was nervous before, and I was like, there's gonna be all these amazing watches here today. I love the size on this. This is like a 36 or a 34. Like it's just so compact. I wish watch brands would make more perpetual calendars in this size today. Everything's
agree.
like a 42 now, and
I
like,
agree.
What was it about this decades ago that they could make it in a 36, and now we have more technology and they can't fit it into a smaller size?
You know, I think sometimes watch brands go on this production run based on where they think the trend's gonna go. And sometimes they get it right and sometimes they get it wrong. And I think like right now, the trend is smaller. The trend is more compact. The trend is you have a whole new audience of watch collectors that unfortunately can't have 40 watches. You might have 3 or 4 or 5. If you can have one that's expensive as a perpetual, you want it to be something that's multi-use.
Yeah.
Honestly. And for me, 36, 39 is the right size for any watch. I think that makes it look good in any moment, and it doesn't look like too bulky and it works for most people's wrist size. That's the size for me. That's what I would say.
You mentioned earlier that you're also part of the Miami Watch Club.
Yes.
And now you're here in New York, you know, during this trip. What are some differences or similarities you see between like the Miami and New York kind of collectors?
Differences is the style and the reason why. I feel like New York collectors are refined collectors that have exposure to a lot of culture, because New York, you can find just about anything, right? There's so many watch stores. We're here in your beautiful boutique, and there's so many opportunities to find vintage, where in Miami people lean towards modern. Miami culture, I think, is because a lot of people come from Latin America. It's what we call the mama we made it culture. You know, it's like a very like, I'm not supposed to be here, but I made it, so I want you to know that I made it. And so you have, you know, bright color dials, and you know, gold obviously sells really well in Miami, and you have a lot of RMs. And I think that was the original kind of way of collecting in Miami. What I've noticed in my time in the Miami Watch Club is that there's a refined taste for independent brands like Journe and Japanese
Moser.
independents and Moser, but it's definitely a crew of people that are experiencing life from a mama we made it moment, like to the fullest.
Let's choose another watch from this box.
So we have a 3700 here with a beautiful patina, but the key with this one is Bayer was Patek's first retailer. I wanted a steel Nautilus. I just didn't want nothing modern. I wanted something with some history on it, and that's why I love this watch.
Is the 3700, to my knowledge, this is one of the earliest examples of the Patek Nautilus. Is that right?
That is correct.
The sizing of this time in that era. So this must have been like the 70s when all these like integrated bracelet sport watches were coming out. Wow, there's just something like when you put it on, you can just feel like it's a moment in time. This is incredible.
It's a piece of history, and again, the patina, I get it. Everyone wants a Tiffany Patek, and mind you, I would love one as well. But there's something about Bayer being the first retailer, and my last time in Geneva, I got to go into Bayer, and they have a museum at the bottom of their store where they walk you through kind of the history of watchmaking and how they've been involved in it. Think about those times and Patek going to Bayer and being like, okay, you guys are my first retailer. You picked us up. You agreed to sell my watches. As a brand, I think that's a moment in history, and it's beautiful to have it on the dial.
It's so cool to have this here. And then you also have like Vacheron's example of their first integrated sports watch. And while we don't have the AP, I have the modern AP. So kind of you can see like the history between all three of these brands and how they designed basically this format of an integrated bracelet sport watch, which at the time wasn't like the most what it is today, right? Like people like these models today, but back then it wasn't their top seller.
But that brings me to this watch. It's another thing in hip hop. Before there was Jacob, there was definitely customizing G-Shocks. We put out an album called Data that became a multi-platinum selling album. I would say is probably, you know, up there in the top 10 Latin albums. Shout out to Rolling Stone, who said that, not me. And a fan customized this, had it completely made. We created a character for the album called Cena, and she's like an android that receives the data. And the colors were pink. And so again, not only because it's off the album, and that's meaningful to me as a creator and a participator of the project. But because it takes me back to the era where you used to customize them. Jacob used to put diamonds on them.
Yep.
It was a thing. And so that's a one-of-one customized G-Shock to remember the album. And so you see it has all the wires.
Yeah, even down to the strap. Even the strap is custom.
Yeah.
It's like painted on. So it says Data, and then it has Tiny.
It has Tiny, which is the artist. It has Data. It has the Neon 16, which is the name of our company. And then when you light it up, it has Tiny Data in it. So it's just a special watch.
And I love how it has the Japanese kanji up top too. So you're still like connecting with the G-Shock. I love this kind of like jellyfish style case. Like it's pink and translucent.
It reminds me of an era where I would say I was the most inspired. I think once you start having a lot of success, it's a little harder to get inspired because your time gets taken away by doing a bunch of other things. So in this era, I was still a kid dreaming of what my career could be. So that watch right there for me is meaningful. And it shows you, like, I mean, that project was a project that we had to fight really hard to make. The fact that it's also a customized G-Shock for the album. And we were going to sell them originally. And I was like, nope. By the time that the watch came in, we were already past that album and the artist decided not to want to sell it. But for me, it was great because it was like, I legit have one of one. You're not going to find another one. And so one day in the wall of fame for my life, that watch will sit there.
Yeah, this watch will definitely be there.
Yeah.
The one-of-one G-Shock for Data.
For Data. That's a special one. And then we have this two-tone GMT, which I put a Horus strap on. This was actually my first expensive watch. I had just closed a big deal. I was 21 years old. A big deal meant like $5,000, by the way. I'm not talking about no millions here. And I thought I was like, I'm going to make it. I'm going to put a little bit of money into saving and I'm going to take at least, $1,000 and go put it somewhere. And I went into Mayors, the AD in Miami, and I was like, oh man, I would love a Rolex. And they're like, yeah, the Rolex costs like $13,000, not $1,000, buddy. I was like, oh damn, I didn't know that. I didn't know that. Like, just to be honest, because the Jacobs at that time, they were like $4,000, $5,000. I was like, oh, a Rolex has to be less than Jacob, right? Because I thought Jacob was like the greatest thing of all time. But I saw this watch with the gold, the two-tone bracelet. I put it on and I was like, I need to have this. And at the time, they would actually allow you to pay it in installments. And so you got credit. And I was paying $300 for that watch.
For how long were you paying that?
I lost my job.
Oh my God.
The very next month. And I couldn't pay the watch for months and it ruined my credit.
Oh man.
But I was so determined to pay this watch off that I was like, I'm not gonna return it. They were calling me with the creditors. They got the interest level got like kicked up.
Oh my God.
It took me like 2.5 years to finally pay this watch off. It's a watch that will be with me forever. It's a watch that I will pass on as well and engrave. Again, it was another testament to anything is possible. It's another testament of the growth of my career. It was for me like, take the risk first. Like a lot of people wait for having the ability to take the risk. And mind you, don't make irresponsible decisions. But for me, it was like, I believe I can do this. And I worked enough to do it. And obviously, look what has happened today. So it was a good testament for me to like just jump and take it and obsess about it because I was obsessed with that watch.
This is a watch of perseverance at the end of the day, because for most people, bad credit and all this stuff over a watch out of all things, we always say people don't go into debt for a watch. Yeah. This is one of those stories where look, Lex made it through the mud with this watch.
I think it's definitely not good to go into debt, but I look at any money you spend as an investment, whether that's an investment on yourself or whether that's an investment on how you look at life. For me, it was like, I can do this. I am going to work at this. And when I made the decision to buy it, I could afford it because I had a great job. I wasn't ready to lose my job, which by the way, I lost my job because I was flying to New York City to pitch my music. It was a Sunday. I get to the airport, I get to LGA, and Spirit Airlines oversold the flight. And they were saying, hey, if you are willing to give your seat up, we will give you 3 vouchers for 3 more flights.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I'm going to take that because I want to go back to New York.
Yeah.
And I was working at Expedia at the time. I was the call center manager while I was doing my music on the side. And I took the risk. I said, I'm going to take those 3 flights because I can't afford 3 more flights. Like, that's just stretching my budget. But I need to keep coming back to New York to pitch my music. And long story short, I didn't make it to work on Monday and I got fired. Oh. Because we had like a big meeting I had forgotten about. But those 3 flights made my career. So sometimes you got to take it,
It's like one door, another door just opened for you there.
100%. This next watch, this Elegante, is to me one of the most useful watches, not only because it resets itself, which is an awesome thing to do. Like if you ever see this watch wake up, it's like the greatest thing ever. But 2, because I travel a lot and it's one of those watches that you put a black strap on this, you can go to Latin America, no one knows that this is anything special,
This is
or
like
that now is like $100,000 watch. When I bought it, it definitely wasn't that. But now it's, you know, I think the last one in auction went for 100. But also, you can be in Miami, put a blue strap or a pink strap on this, and you're in the water, you're good. And the fact that it just has beautiful lume, great design, is a Journe, easy to change the strap. He killed it with that watch.
So this is the FP Journe Élégante. This is actually also the first time I've handled one, but I know about the story about this watch. This one, the whole dial is loomed. Is that correct?
Yep.
This one is what if FP Journe made a quartz watch? And so you can see on the open case back, he was not shy to show that a lot of brands, when they do quartz, they want to cover it up. But, you know, it's Journe. So he's showing it here that there is electronic parts like in a quartz watch. But the coolest feature, like Lex just mentioned, is that this watch can go onto like standby mode, essentially. So if you don't wear it for how many weeks or months, I don't know, remember the time, it will put itself in a standby mode to conserve the battery. And then when you're ready to wear it, it kicks into the correct time. So it's been timekeeping even if it wasn't showing it, which is so awesome the way he thought about doing that. And this is years ago too. This is not like something he just came out with. I mean, even the screws he uses on the bezel, they're unlike normal screws, like watchmaking screws. Usually they're like slotted. This one is not, it almost looks like a Phillips screw from far away, but then you see that they're kind of like 3-prong, which is like just something unique.
Journe is, honestly, he's a genius. That community is incredible. That was an amazing one. The last 3 watches I brought, and we can start with this beautiful black Mido. And when you look at a brand that is, you know, looking to grow and continuing to grow, I always try to think, what's the model that if you see that on somebody's wrist will talk right away? I mean, that dial, it's so cool. I mean, it's just one of my favorites, honestly. And I just discovered Mido. I'll be 100% honest. It wasn't something I was looking for, but as the brand reached out to me, I just love that model off the top. And I was like, I have to collect a few.
I mean, look at this. It's all black steel with a mesh bracelet. This is the decompression timer. So you have that kind of like rainbowish colors going on the dial for decompression. You just have the classic ocean star like dynamics to it. I mean, I'm
gonna start adding them to my collection, honestly, for the price point and for what the watch is, how it speaks when you wear it.
We'll give a quick bezel test. This is the only dive watch here that we can do this with.
Something special about that noise, eh?
It's clicky.
It's clicky.
This is fun. Like, this is something that I would love to wear.
That's a fun one. This one, it's a Timex. So I collect Snoopy. But what I love about Timex, or this particular watch specifically, the second hand is a tennis ball that looks like it's floating.
Oh, I see it now. Whoa.
So I was like, what is this? This is incredible. The fact he's playing tennis and the ball actually telling you the seconds, but it's floating. And then I put a nice little military strap on it, and it's just a great, fun watch. I love Snoopy again. Takes me back to my childhood, takes me back to everything I love about collecting, and it's Timex. And, you know, I think they're an underrated brand. I saw your episode with Chris, he was saying the same thing, and I agree. They make cool watches, man. They really do.
Yeah, I feel like I've been sleeping on Timex because I have never seen this Snoopy Peanuts collection.
Yeah.
And I just figured it out how they made the tennis ball floating. They have another like a translucent disc on top, and that whole disc is moving.
Yeah.
But if you don't look carefully, you might miss it. But like, this watch is so fun. Like, if I was a kid, I would love to wear this and bring this to school and be like, yeah, this is my watch. I got Snoopy, and he's hitting the ball.
And it's floating.
It is floating, yeah.
And it has great colors. I love Snoopy, man.
Do you collect other Snoopy watches too?
Everything Snoopy I collect.
So you have like the Omega Snoopy.
I got Snoopy everything.
Yeah.
Like my daughter has more Snoopies than I did as a kid. Like the Snoopy causes. I just collect anything Snoopy. I don't know why, honestly. I was trying to think about this the other day because I was talking with my wife, and I was like, I wonder where my obsession with Snoopy came from, because you know, it's not like I grew up watching Charlie Brown, but it wasn't like every single day or anything. But there's just something about the character and the design of that I just, you know, inspires me. Just like people get inspired by Mickey Mouse or whatever, but Snoopy's my guy.
I feel like Snoopy is cool because it's like a childhood character, and then you put him on something like an Omega Speedmaster, like a grail watch for many people, and it's like combining those two things, which is like whimsical but also like respected by collectors too. Okay, that's definitely one of my favorites that I've seen today.
The next one is another integrated bracelet, but this time from IWC. I'm a huge Formula One fan. My father was a race car driver. I grew up watching Formula One. The fact that this was made for the film, the fact that, again, I like fun. I like a dial that says, you can't find me anywhere else. You can't find this kind of Kermit style dial on any of the major brands, at least. And the gold, the integrated bracelet, wears a little heavy, but it's great. I did have to get this special clasp into it that allows me, because I do travel a lot, it will allow me to move it up and down and resize in an easier way, just because I do wear this when I travel. That's another watch that you could take around and people are not, you don't feel like you're in danger. I love Formula One. I love the film. Great watch.
It's a perfect marriage between those two.
Yeah.
And this kind of ties in together the whole thing you said in the beginning about loving racing and watches. Yeah. This watch just came out this year. This is the IWC Ingenieur. It was made for the F1 film. Also because it's based off Brad Pitt wearing a green Ingenieur, which actually apparently didn't exist. He had like a modified one and he wore it for the film.
So the story is like he actually emailed the CEO and the CEO thought it was a joke. Like he thought like there's no way Brad Pitt is emailing me, right? Yeah. And come to find out Brad Pitt was emailing him and he had made his own. And so I believe IWC then took his and, try to really get it done correctly for the film. But that's a watch he just created himself.
So this is the modern version of the IWC Ingenieur. Just to kind of call back to the one Brad Pitt had, it does use a green dial, but now you do get that textured dial, which kind of always reminded me of like sound panels. Yeah. You're in music, it kind of looks like those sound acoustics. And then I love that you got the micro adjustment on here, because that's something I would tell my own customers, like you can change out the butterfly clasp and put on this fold over clasp. And I wish they just sent it originally from the beginning, because this is how people like to wear it.
Well, and what I found was that it was really hard to find the right sizing. Every time that I would change it, it was either too big or too small. It wasn't wearing it and I wanted to wear it. So the fact that they did offer that, I think is great, because it gives more utility to the watch. And I have a question for you. When talking about dial design, right? It's really tricky, the pattern that you choose, right? Like everybody talked about the Land Dweller and not liking the honeycomb design. A lot of people don't like this checkered version of it. At first, I didn't like it. It feels good because it's a watch about racing. Like I kind of made my own story around it, because I do have an Omega Michael Schumacher edition that has the same, and actually it has it on the whole dial. It goes wide grays. It's 36. I was gonna bring it because I just realized I didn't bring one chronograph. But what's your take on dial texture? Do you like it? Do you prefer plain dial?
I think normally I do prefer dial textures because it makes the watch stand out. I think it's much easier to make a sunburst dial. I don't think it's easy to make one, but I think it's easier to make like a consistent color. But to do a different pattern, not everyone will love it. Like some people will not like the textures, for example, like the AP Royal Oak. I think most people like the tapestry because it's part of the DNA of the watch, but maybe back then people didn't like the textures. I think having textures on the dial make the watch different from their competitors and make them stand out. So I appreciate them. There are certain watches like you have here, the Vacheron 222, where like a clean dial with a beautiful blue color just works so good. And you don't need to. I guess for me as a collector, I don't really have a preference. Like it's never a deal breaker to me if a dial has a pattern or not. It's like if I like it or don't like it. The IWC, I'm cool with that pattern because I like the design and the history there. But I'm also cool if they didn't do it and they just had a clean, like they did like a clean black dial, or if they brought back the gray dial, that would be cool too.
I'm with you on that. I think there's certain watches that don't need it and shouldn't have it. And then I do things that sometimes the other way, and it takes away from the beauty of the watch. It takes away from the wearability of the watch. So I think when they find the right texture on it, and it's really hard to put something out in the market, especially after you've produced a whole lot of them and get buried. I've enjoyed our conversation, enjoyed talking watches, so thank you for having me.
This was a lot of fun. Are you secretly planning to make a watch or something?
Honestly, one day I would love to. I would love to collaborate with a brand, or even maybe, I don't know if I'll start my own brand. That's a whole nother business. And, and I'm at the point in my career, I'm trying to get into something I'm not an expert on, but I would love to collaborate with a brand. I always said, I think I have popular taste. I think people really end up following something that I create or a trend with whatever it is, because I understand like human emotion really well, but I understand the overall popular taste. And so I would love to create something for a brand or design a special edition. And if there's a dope independent brand out there and you want to collaborate with me, I'm down right now.
Okay, that's the official call sign out. So if any brands want to work with Lex, you know where to follow him. And for my audience, you can go ahead and follow Lex on the 0 to 60. He has a YouTube channel and also on Instagram. He also has his own podcast called You Versus You. So if you'd like to hear more of that kind of human connection and podcast storytelling, you can watch him there. Lex, it's been an absolute pleasure. I had a lot of fun. I loved all your watches. There's a few that are grails for me here. So, I mean, this was amazing. Thank
you for
again.
having me, and shout out to your audience. Now you know every time I'm in New York City, I'm gonna come knocking on your door.
Oh, absolutely. You're always welcome.
Thanks.